Hi, this is Robbie from Inner Powered Life Coaching, and today I want to talk about something that has been on my heart for over 2 months now. And this is the topic of it's not safe to be me. And this is a belief and experience that probably almost 100% of the neurodivergent community has experienced that is grounded in real life empirical evidence and experience of all the times it wasn't safe to be how we are. And for some of us, it could be a family of origin, a situation where whether we're neurodivergent or not, it wasn't safe to be us because we were born into a system or placed into a system, maybe outside of our biological parents, where it was not safe and we were abused. And no matter what, it was just not safe. And for some of us, we were not safe because we are neurodivergent and our family of origin may have been not safe on top of it. And then we were placed in school systems where it wasn't safe for us. And while this is true for basically most neurodivergent people, in my experience, it is especially true for older generations because there wasn't even any acknowledgement of neurodivergence. Um, a lot of us are placed either in gifted and talented or special ed, depending on our academic abilities, which is not necessarily even accurate for those who were placed in special ed. I know personally of people who are brilliant, who happen to be dyslexic as part of their neurodivergent profile, but were put in special ed and for speech delays, and it was very detrimental and did not help their development, and they had to progress and overcome this of their own volition and just their own inner power, which is huge. And my accolades to everyone who had this. Um, but even in my recent experience with neurodivergent children, there is just a lot of unsafety. And that's even with a lot of school systems being more open and accommodating different learning styles and different sensory needs. There's a lot for most of us who have worked for employers outside of the home. We know there's a lot. If you can get into an employer who accommodates these things and understands them, that's huge. It's not a super common experience, right? And it's not a common experience for a lot of us in entering romantic relationships because a lot of times we can end up in relationships with people of a different neurotype, which is fine. But if they don't understand, we do a lot of masking, they do a lot of criticizing, and it perpetuates a lot of the I'm not good enough, I'm wrong kind of paradigm, which is something we want to correct because it's not right. You are whole and complete and you are perfect in your neurodivergence, however that manifests as it is. You are created to be this way. So I'm a person of faith. I believe that all human beings are created in the image of the Most High God, and there's a purpose for however your creation manifests, right? Because we're all different kind of ways, and it takes different kinds of minds and different perceptions and different recognitions to make everything happen because we all thought the same thing, nothing would happen, right? Like you need all of this difference to bring it all together. And so um, I just wanted to address this because it's been a thing that's been kind of brewing, and I've had so much going on personally and all kinds of things that I haven't. And today I was finally like, no, you got to do this. So, um, in the United States, in the last few months, there's been a political initiative to do a registry of autistic persons. And there's a lot of theories going into it and all kinds of things they think they could do and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to dig into the weeds of the politics. However, I just want to honor that neurodivergence is genetic, at least in my experience. Do I believe that environmental influences can exacerbate underlying medical conditions? Yes, right. Because we're like in a toxic world that did not exist 150 years ago to the extent, right? However, I believe it's a genetic thing, and I don't believe it's a deficient. I believe that the Most High God created this kind of diversity, which you see in animal life and plant life and everywhere, all for a purpose because it all makes sense. And so I honor that, and I don't think it needs to be fixed. I think our systems that discriminate against anything out of the cookie cutter need to be reevaluated. Now, that's a discussion for a whole different time because there's a lot that goes into that. But I just want to let you know, if you are a neurodivergent person, I honor you in your neurodiversity, and I believe you are made in the image of the Most High God. Do you have challenges? Probably yes, 100%. Or maybe there are things in your character that aren't necessarily neurodivergent. It's just a thing that you might want to work on. Yes, but that's the thing between you and your higher self, your consciousness, and your creator. I'm not going to go into that now. I just wanted to honor the diversity of our humanity because it's a good thing. And so I know there's been a lot of fear of our community, especially in the United States, because of things that have happened, right? And then that underpins our basic experience that most of us have had, particularly if you're older, of not being accepted and going through peer coercion, parental coercion, educational coercion, and other coercion. And if you are in the duration that has been subjected to various therapies to make you more normal, gonna leave it right there right now. This is reinforced to us. It's not safe to be us, right? Because we can communicate our needs, and especially as a child, and this is huge, is adults shut you down as being attention seeking, or they're acting out. It's like, no, you needed to go potty. You were thirsty. You were hungry. You were tired. The lights were too bright. The sound was too loud. People were nagging you to do a certain thing. They wouldn't let you do parallel play. They wouldn't let you learn in your own way. There's a whole bunch of things that go into dysregulation as a child, which these therapies don't correct. They exacerbate and they perpetuate this sense of I'm not good enough and trauma and drama, which is 100% not needed. So a lot of us didn't have necessarily formal corrective therapy. We just went through the course of school and going to the job market and then trying to be in relationships and all of these other things, right? And so, while yes, um, there doesn't need to be a degree of learning to act in a civic way with people in whatever your culture is. Um, the whole idea of trying to train somebody for being autistic and correct their thing is straight abusive. Okay. I've witnessed this with children that I've worked with. They're being abused. You can't drive your cars in a straight line because that's wrong. You can't use this color because the therapist wants you to use like a different color. And um, oh, he's not trying to communicate anything. He's just like acting out and wants attention. When the child is like, I need to go potty, I'm thirsty, I need a drink, I'm overstimulated, I need to whatever, and there's a disregard for that. We have that as children, and then it carries on doubled into the workplace. And for those of us who are older, you got it triple down in all these things because there was zero awareness of it. And so for a lot of us, there is this feeling of it's not safe to be me. And a lot of us were not safe for whatever reason in our childhood environment. And then we transitioned to a school system that was not safe. And then we transitioned into friendships that were not safe. And we transitioned into romantic relationships that were not safe. And this has gone forward, right? And so our paradigm has been I'm not safe. I have to put up with what's not safe to survive, which has been the truth for a lot of us. Doesn't have to keep going, but it has been what we've accepted, right? And is a generally accepted social thing is like, well, you're like the wrong one. So act normal and act right, and you'll be safe. There's a huge problem with all of this, and we can't necessarily correct all of the whole world at the same time, but we can correct our processing and how we stand in our power and how we project forward, because what we think and what we say to ourselves in our internal dialogue and how what we say to others and how we project to others does help and is super important to the formation of the reality that we experience. And there's a lot of quantum mechanics and a lot of other things that are involved with this, which could be beyond the scope of our discussion, but I have found in all my years of dealing with this, it's a thing. And I test this on a daily basis. And I promise you, it is a thing. We have so much more internal power than we believe that we do. And even as neurodivergent people, we do not have to stay victims. We do not have to bow to it. We may have to deal with what presents itself as it comes, but understanding it is our thoughts and our actions and our speech and our attitude that projects what we experience going forward. Nobody is a victim forever unless you choose to stay in a victim situation. Okay. I'm not just counting abuse and horrible things and physical disabilities and political oppression and all these horrible things that happen in all kinds of countries, all that. I'm not saying that. But there are examples of people who have risen above, and I'm telling you that you, as a neurodivergent person, you still have that power within yourself to say, no, no, this is not my story. I am more. I do not accept this, and I'm moving forward. And you can. You can, but you have to keep that in your mind. Okay. So I'll come back to this at another time because that's a whole thing. But a lot of us have this belief, again, very well founded in experience. I'm not discounting it. I 100% feel you. I'm almost 51 years old, and I grew up in the victim mentality. I grew up being victimized by family, employers, by men in relationships, by all kinds of things, right? And I still have my own struggles that I have to work through for all of this. But I have to the point that I know it's a thing, and that's why I'm bringing this to you right now. You do not have to be bullied. You don't. You, as a human being, are made in the image of the Most High. And even if you don't believe in like a God or a personal God or whatever your trauma is, however you understand the Most High consciousness or your higher self or your whatever, I hope you believe that there is a higher God who's compassionate, who overrules the mess that men do under their free will. But if you don't, understand within yourself still, you were given a sovereignty as a sovereign, divinely created being. You have that power. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you are ASD level 1 or ADHD or ASD level 3. You are still given that as a created divine being. You can stand in that. Okay. You can. You can. And so I know, like, I just had an experience. I am in the latter stages of my second master's degree, and I'm doing a mental health and wellness degree. And so I am openly stating my autistic and ADHD status because I'm not ashamed. I'm like super happy that I have that now because I know and I advocate. Got a lot of pushback from a PhD level clinical psychologist who had a problem with the term neurodivergent and all this thing. I got pushback from fellow students saying that autistic people are violent and pose a danger to people and all kinds of like mess you would not believe. Okay. So it was a thing. All right. And so I could have stayed and fought it, but sometimes standing in your power is not staying and fighting. Sometimes you got to stay and fight, and it's a thing. Sometimes you say your piece in a logical, emotionally contained, intelligent way where you're advocating in a logical, calm way, right? Which is what I did. But sometimes you got to separate yourself. And you're like, you know what? No. And walking away from toxicity is just as empowering as staying and fighting to the death. Say your truth, back it up with facts, not with just emotion and being like frantic and flying off the handle, whatever. Be logical, be real, back it up, and then be like, you know what? Sorry, you're ignorant. Peace out. I'm done, and move on. I did that in that case. Ended up being super awesome. Um, I've had other instances where I had to advocate for people in my community who are younger and cannot advocate for themselves. Cost me friendships, cost me professional things. And you know what? I don't regret it at all because I know the truth of it as an autistic adult at almost 51 who went through these things, right? And so I honor our babies coming up and our young people and our young professionals dealing with all this stuff, and their parents and everybody going through this. And I'm like, no, I'm here for my community. And if you can't get it, peace out, do whatever, we're done, right? It's sad, but it's a thing and it's what I'm called for. And so that's why I'm here talking to you. And so, um, with all this, because it's not about me, this is a universal experience for a lot of us, is standing in your power can mean hanging in there and fighting with your facts, emotionally regulated, not flying off the handle, not being a psycho, not being violent, not any kind of dysregulated way like that. Regulate yourself, get your stuff in order, and present it professionally. That is how you advocate for yourself and for your community and for your kid and for your people. Okay? Get it together, do it right, learn nervous system regulation techniques, call on your higher power, get educated, do whatever you need to do to present it in the right way. Acting like a psycho and blowing up is not going to do you any good. Okay, it perpetuates stereotypes of instability and all these things that we don't want. Get it together, advocate. If you have a fire in your heart and a passion in your own experience, you probably have a calling to advocate. Do it the right way. Okay. Um, that's where I'm coming from. Advocate for your people, advocate for yourself, advocate for your kids, advocate for other neurodivergent people in your workplace, in your community, in your ethnic group, in your spiritual group or faith-based group or whatever groups you might be in. Do it in the right way. Don't fly off the handle and freak out. Get it together, do it the right way. Okay. um but we have to go within and we have to understand this limiting belief and this very deep root thing of it's not safe to be me. Now it's valid. You have reason to believe it's not safe to be you, right? But this belief settles. It's not just our mind, it's down in our body. It's like for me, it's settled down like deep into my lower abdomen and digestive system and heart and neck, like all these things. Like I just feel like this immediate, and a lot of us do. And for those of us who have interoception challenges, we may not be able to say, hey, I feel it in my stomach or my chest or my whatever. You just feel not good somehow. Okay. It's still a feeling that your system is communicating to you that something's off. Okay. Some of us can be super cerebral where we're just like, and something's not wrong, or something's not right, something's wrong, and we can't correlate where it feels in our bodies, but it's still wrong. And because the mind and body are connected, um, if we feel something wrong in our mind, we'll feel in our body. And a lot of times our body will react to something viscerally that we know is not right before it even gets to our mind. It depends on how we're wired. And because we are a three-part being, we are the body, we are the mind, will, and emotions, which some people call the soul, and then we are the eternal spirit that goes on after our physical body is gone and exists before our physical body came into being, right? So it's three parts. Um, in some modalities, it's body, ego, and soul, which it's still the same thing. It's your body, mind, will, and emotions. They call the ego. They call the ego, which some modalities call the soul, and some modalities call it the soul, and some call it the eternal spirit, right? Okay, but regardless, it's three parts. You have your body, you have your consciousness, which interfaces with the eternal part of you that goes on. Some people may not believe that eternal part. That's fine if you do, whatever. But just realize you have a lot of things happening, right? And so all of these different aspects of you are sensing what's happening to you physically and energetically and emotionally and mentally, and all these things are coming to, and you're processing it, and in some part of you if something is not right. You do, and that's legit. We do have to learn to process what is an actual threat and what is a trauma based reaction. And for a lot of us who have severe trauma backgrounds, everything's a threat because we're conditioned to be on high alert, and it's a thing. So I encourage you, if you feel like you're always on high alert, seek professional help for that. If you feel like there's different parts of you, to seek help for dissociative identity or internal family systems. um, I'm here to offer coaching as a neurodivergent person who has experienced all these things and who has experienced uh, dissociation and fragmentation of the internal system, myself and in a family system, to help you understand and process that. It's huge, but you have power and you can heal this and you can move forward, and it can be safe to be you. Even if the outside world's not safe, because it isn't for anybody, honestly, actually. Um, you can stand in your own power and make it safe for you. And regardless of what's happening, you can stand in your own internal locus of control and your own power and make it safe, because the way that you perceive things is a huge influence on what's happening outside you and what you receive back into you. And that sounds woo woo and weird for a lot of people. It's a thing. I promise. I have tried this for years and years and years and years and years. And I came from a background of victimization and persecution, and I'm so powerless and all this, whatever. And I listened to a lot of neurodivergent content creators who are like, I'm just a victim. And it's like, yeah. Have you been victimized? Have you been done over? Yes, is the thing. 100%. Can you stand in your power and not have this be experience? Yes. And so I'm here to support the people who've had this, but also the people who are like, no, I'm not going to be a perpetual victim forever and ever of my family or society or ableism or all the things that I've had, even though they're horrible. And I know a lot of people watching this have had absolutely indescribable, horrific, beyond any comprehension things. I understand this. I know people like this. I know it's real. It is a thing. I do not minimize that. It's absolutely vile beyond description, but you were created for a purpose and you can overcome any evil intention and things that were put against you, regardless of how vile and incomprehensible it is. You can. Now, I am not a licensed psychologist or counselor or anything like that. Um, I'm pursuing a degree in mental health and wellness, but I'm speaking from my own personal experience and experience working with other people and working with other survivors, working with other neurodivergent people, and understanding a lot. And so I just want to encourage you, wherever you are, you're better than this. You deserve better than this. It doesn't matter what they did to you or what they said you could do or you couldn't do. You can. There is a higher power outside of you. And if you call on it, it will help you. And there is healing available for you. And it may take a lot of layers of things to deal with. because depending on your trauma, there can be layers upon layers of stuff. It's not hopeless and it's not worthless to pursue it because you are worth more than that. Dig into it, do what you can, call on your higher power, call on your resources. People want to help you heal because you deserve it. It is safe to be you. You may have been presented with situations where it isn't safe. It doesn't have to be that way for you. And so, in small ways as you can, in a calm, logical way, start showing more of who you are. Seek out like minded people who are more of like who you are. This may involve a lot of research online to find groups. It might involve you actually going out of your comfort zone to go to different groups and to different activities and see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, keep moving. It doesn't mean that something's going to fall into your lap automatically just out of the sky. Okay, it could, um, but you probably have to make some effort. It does require caution, not necessarily the trauma, I can't trust anybody ever for any reason, everybody's out to get me kind of thing, but just basic stuff, right? Don't give them your financial information, don't give them your whole life story and everything. Don't let them necessarily up in your space. Don't compromise yourself physically or chemically, these kind of things. Like, be smart about it. But there are a lot of us. There are a lot of ways to connect in community, and there are a lot of places that it is to be safe. And while understanding that, safe doesn't mean that everybody who doesn't agree with you 100% is an unsafe person. Probably there's no person in all the 8 billion people in the entire world who agree about absolutely every single thing all the time continuously, because we have different life experiences, we have different personalities, we have different neurology, we have different cultural, religious, national, financial, and all kinds of different experiences and different interests, which make us unique, which is beautiful. And so somebody doesn't have to be 100% a clone of you to make them a safe person, right? What makes them safe is, do they honor you even if you are completely different, right? Do you feel safe around them? Does your nervous system feel safe? Are you willing to get your nervous system into a place where you're more open and everything's not a drama and a trauma all the time? If everything is a drama and trauma all the time, this is not a judgment. I 100% feel you because I came from that. Okay, I came from that. And I still have, even though I've done studying and certification, all these modalities, and I practice them continually, there are still things that trigger the kind of thing in me where I'm like, you did this thing and you're not safe. Mm. Is it something to keep in mind? Yes. Is it something to make a concrete judgment on? No. Watch and see, chill, and realize that a lot of the way that you project onto a person can't affect how they act, right? So if I decide, oh, this person thinks different from me and they're my enemy and whatever, that, well, don't be surprised that if you get that, right? Whereas if you're like, oh, okay, so they have this different reaction because they have a different life experience than I am, but they honor me and they want to make this work and we're going to come to a mutual understanding, and you keep that in your mind with your interactions with them and you're thinking about them, you will then see this play out in your interactions with them. And this is not a magical thing or like some esoteric kind of thing. It's a thing. That's literally how it works. And I've tested this a lot of times. Now, sometimes do we need to move on from people and places and situations and relationships and all these things because they don't serve us? Yeah. Um, and that will unfold, but it doesn't have to be a drama and a trauma, and we don't have to assume going into everything that we are going to be rejected and misunderstood and everybody's an enemy and everything's a problem and a drama and a trauma and an anxiety thing. And for a lot of us who are neurodivergent, we've had that experience. And for a lot of us who are neurodivergent and came from an abusive background, which is a lot of us, there's a lot of reason for us to believe that. But we were never taught to be empowered. We were never taught about how our thoughts and our inner speech and how we interact with other people influence that. We were never taught that we can correct the drama and the trauma and move past it. We were taught we're going to be victims, we're less than, we just have to deal with whatever comes to us. And that is not true. And I know a lot of people, there may be some people watching this in nations where there could be severe life threatening penalties for being authentic for many reasons. And I understand this. I do not discount that at all. But I encourage you to still understand, stay in here because you are divinely created to be able to influence what is around you. And if you believe that you can overcome this, and you believe that you don't have to be an eternal victim, and you can stand in your power, that you can find people who respect you, you can speak your power, you can move past, you can. But it has to be inside you to understand that you can do this because the Most High God gave you this. You are a divine creation. You aren't like a worm down in the ground wandering around, right, ever being trampled. You are not. You are not. Abusers tell you that. That is not who you are. Stand in that and you keep moving. Keep moving. Find community that reinforces this to you. Read stories that reinforce to you that people from your situation overcame this. It wasn't because they were super lucky or super rich. Maybe in some cases, yes. But for the most part, it was an internal belief. I am more than this. I'm going to keep it moving. You do this. I believe in you. It doesn't matter where you are, male, female, whatever, any religion, any nation, whatever you are, any level of support needs, wherever you are. I believe in you. You are divinely created. You are made exactly the way you are supposed to be for your purpose. Your purpose is to find your purpose and to bring it into the world in whatever way that looks like. And it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a super, super simple thing, but that's what you're here for because it makes a difference for somebody else. And I promise you, if you're feeling a thing, if you're feeling even anything, it's because you know, I deserve better than this. I was made for a purpose more than this. No, 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 I'm not going to do this. Don't. Keep going. Do what you can do. Protect yourself. Stand in your power. Draw on your higher power. Realize you are made in the image of the creator of everything that is for a purpose. Okay? That's why you're here. It wasn't a cosmic accident. You're here for a reason. And you are eternal. You were before you were in your body, and you will be after you leave this body. And so I just want to encourage you, even if you haven't experienced it, it's safe to be you. It can be. You have to believe in yourself to create that safety and to find the community to help with that safety. For some of you, it may be going within and even isolating for a minute to feel safe within yourself to be able to move forward. And I've been through that, and it's a thing, and it's right. Sometimes we have to come into ourselves, where we have nothing but ourselves and learning ourselves to be able to make it concrete going forward. If you are a neurodivergent person, male, female, whatever orientation of any background, and you want extra support with this, with processing all the trauma and the limiting beliefs out of your body, please contact me. I do that first, and then moving on to rewiring our minds because that's an absolutely incredibly huge thing. And once you've got that straight, you can start building goals to move forward. And you should always have goals, regardless, because you have goals underpinning everything, or you would not want to heal, be moving forward, right? But it can be a process. And so for wherever you are, I would love to support you. Um, I do identify as a heterosexual Christian female in the United States, but I am open to working with everybody wherever you are at. I'm not going to try to put anything on you. Um, kind of thing, because I recognize that all human beings are made in the image of God, and I meet you where you are, and to help you to heal and stand in your power. And I work with anybody. I do have a love for the neurodivergent community. I am an autistic and ADHD female, late identified. It is genetic in my case. It comes down from everywhere. There's a bunch of us. Um, but I do honor you in the name of the Most High, and I encourage you that even if you haven't felt safe, and if it hasn't been so safe for you, and you've had abuse of all sorts, which is a legitimate thing, which is not reflective of your value at all, you can overcome that. And remember this: the biggest victory over your abusers is never staying a victim. Overcome, show them. As the quote from wherever it came from, living well is the best revenge. Do not be a victim ever. They win if you stay a victim and you stay small, regardless of your situation. You rise to however far you can. That is how you overcome the abusers. That's how you overcome the darkness. That is how you become everything that you were created to be. Is you keep moving, because inside you there's something that tells you there's more, there's more, there's more. I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm talented, I can do these things, I have this, I'm this kind of a person. You know that, and that's what keeps going, what keeps you moving forward. And it's legit. There's a reason for that. So I honor that in you, and I believe in you, and I would love to partner with you if you need that. So just stand in your power, even if it's super small steps every time. Do it whatever you can safely within the context where you are, and just keep it moving and keep moving and keep moving more. And you will find, as you stand in your power, more and more and more and more and more and more, that more and more and more is open to you, and you will find less and less and less resistance. It's a lot of how you think you are. If you think that you're more and you have conquered, you will. You stand in that. I believe in you. I support you. I will catch you another time. Take care.